Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be reviewing Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the Library Editions, Volume 2 of Season 8. Open this up. Okay, so here you see the spine. It says Season 8, Volume 2. So there would be 4 volumes to Season 8, and then there would be Season 9, and you would get 4 volumes again, and so forth. So here they re-explain it again. You have writers Joss Whedon and Jeff Loeb on the series, and artists George Genti and Carl Molina. So Loeb and Whedon are pretty big names in the comic book industry. That's the dust jacket. I really like the covers that they use for this series. They're real nice, almost have like a painted look to them. The interiors, however, will be more like this style over here, which is still nice. I still enjoy it. It's very superhero comic book style. Here are the inner flaps. This is how the book looks without the dust jacket. I believe all of them do this where on the right hand side, meaning this is the front cover, it would have a face of one of the main characters, then the spine of course, and then on the back you would have a picture of one of the panels in the book. Here is the spine itself. You want this to open up, and it does that very nicely. Plus it comes with this ribbon so you could separate what page you're in when you're reading. So this is a real nice touch. Now in the inner covers we have Buffy with this axe. This axe is a big part of the series somehow, and in volume 2 we finally start touching on it a little bit. We have this sign. This is what the villains wear. It's a sign of the supernatural. As you read it, it will kind of explain that. Season 8, volume 2. Some of the artwork you would get. This looks real cool. Here we get each story arc starts on issue 6, ends on 30, starts on 30, ends at 130. This next one starts at 130, ends at 228, so forth. So at the end of the book, it's at page 317, meaning it goes a little bit further than that. Again, awesome covers. They're like virgin covers. It doesn't have the actual title here. Dark Horse is known to do that when it shows the covers. Doesn't show the issue number or title. And here, beautiful sunset. Now the book starts off well enough, and it quickly changes direction. We'll get into that a little bit, because for example, here we have the Sith again. It looks kind of like an axe to me, but they call it the Sith. She's explaining how that gave her extra powers, and she created a bunch of vampire slayers to help her save the world. Said an apocalypse was coming, and she's explaining here, apocalypse has come when God feels the world is screwing up too much, and he wants to just destroy it and restart over. So what that brings is a lot of chaos, a lot of panic, and everybody turns into idiots, and they destroy the world themselves, which is what the plan is, right? So then they could reflourish and start over from the beginning. And she's talking about how when that happens, you can either let that happen, or we could just turn it into something better, into a better place. That's typically where we want to go. We want to go to this, but we don't want to go through the chaos part. So as she just basically finished explaining what happened in the last story arc, meaning in volume 1, we get a glimpse of the TV over here, and these are some vampire slayers. But look, these have automatic guns and grenades, and Buffy's looking at them, and she's like, "That's not good. Slayers don't operate that way. We use ice picks, and we use wooden stakes and swords and knives, and at best bow and arrows. We don't use modern weapons. That's just not what slayers do." So she's like, "Are these even slayers? They might be something different." So that's cause to pause, and they have to figure this out. Who are they? Here are all the girls celebrating because they just stopped the apocalypse from happening in the first volume. Look at her standing on Dawn's shoulder. It's crazy. Now Dawn is huge for a reason, so we'll get to that later. They explain it on volume 1. And as you can see, it's all girls. So all the Slayer team, it's like a superhero book, but all women superhero team, right? There's a few guys there, but they don't have the superpowers the Slayers do. They can help in other ways. Here's Sanders, for example. He can help and like finding out where the villains are and doing other like things, right? And here's Buffy. She's like, "Let them party. They deserve it. We just saved the world." Here you see Buffy and Satsu. Satsu's one of the Slayers. She's known to be one of the better in combat, maybe the best, and she's Oriental, so like kind of a stereotype that she would know more karate and stuff like that. As Buffy's telling her, "Don't doubt yourself," because she landed incorrectly here. She's like, "It's okay, you're one of our best, and you're gonna probably run your own squad one day," because they have like a lot of different little squads. And you see the way Satsu's looking at her here as Buffy's, talking to her. And you see here, I like what the artist George Gentes did right here. Really good with the facial expressions. You could tell when she's looking at Buffy, she's like in a gaze, right? Like she's into her. And it doesn't have to be said with words. It's very obvious with just the art. So villains show up and they're fighting. As they're fighting, she confesses her love for Buffy. Oh, I'm so attracted to you. I'm in love with you. You're so hot. That was typically Willow's thing on the show. I've seen a few like highlights or pieces of episodes, and I remember she always kind of had a crush on Buffy, so she was like a lesbian character, but it was better done. Yeah, she gazed at her and stuff like that, but she never just went out and told her, "Oh, I'm in love with you," right? So here was very like it got to that too quick. You gotta let it be a slow burn when it comes to this type of stuff, and they didn't do that, which I felt it was mishandled a little bit right there. So yeah, they're fighting these wolves. And in doing so, this guy shows up. So he showed up in the last pages of Volume 1. He's the new big bad. And this guy brings something different to the table. Here, he's finally the showdown with Buffy. And he's letting Buffy know, I'm something like you never dealt with before. And he starts flying. So she's like, oh, this guy can fly and can lift buildings and stuff. So clearly we're going into like a superhero comic book. It's no longer the Buffy comic, taking a whole other direction. Here you see him flying and she's holding on to him. She's like, oh shit, if I do anything to him, I'll fall because I can't fly. So she's kind of at his mercy. He's flying through this water tower, and the action scenes are actually pretty good here. You see them right here going through the tower, going to another one. So here you see he lifts that big piece of the roof to show you he's basically like a Superman type character. Now Buffy here, she's consoling the Satsu, like, oh, you didn't fail me, and because she thought I failed you, I didn't help you. Issue kind of ends there, and you see the werewolf here because they turn into wolves. They're not vampires. Here's Buffy. It says Part 1, Wolves at the Gate. Here are the wolves. So we get to the first issue of the new story arc, because the other was like a prelude. We have Xander looking through the castle at the moon, letting this character named Rennie, letting her know, oh, look at the moon, how nice it looks. Isn't there something, crazy about it? Clearly the moon, because we have werewolves in this arc. So as they're talking, she's kind of feeling this as a romantic moment. And he's kind of just talking about the moon. So it's unclear at this point if he feels the same way. And then we get to the next page, and that's it. Buffy already slept with Satsu. So she went from being straight to a girl telling her she has a crush on her, and she just went for it. There was no development there or anything, right? Like, she just turned lesbian from one issue to the next, which I thought was very poorly handled. I don't know if in the show this is how Buffy acts. She just, like, sleeps around that easily. Don't follow the show. And I'm pretty sure she was also not a lesbian. So they're having the character be, like, completely out of character. But then again, the whole stories are kind of swaying to outside of the Buffy style of storytelling, right? They're becoming more superhero-y. So everything is changing. I do not have an attachment to this character. I just started reading the books. I didn't grow up with the show. So, that's gonna be, to me, it doesn't really bother me, but I know to some people you get used to the character acting a certain way. And if they're gonna change, you have to see it in the story as the character slowly changes. You don't just change them, right? Without explaining to you like why, because that can throw you off in a story sometimes. So it has less to do with the story and more about the character. So it changed the character, not necessarily the story. So here we have Willow. She's a witch or like a sorceress, and behind her is this other sorceress that's working with the wolves. They're not just wolves though; they could change into like vampires and into other creatures. They're supernatural, but they're a lot more powerful. They bring more to the table. So they took Willow. That's who they were targeting, the sorcerer. And now we get back to Xander and Rennie. They're talking, and she's like, hey, I love to go out with you. And he's like, okay. And so, we see a romance brewing here. Buffy's hooking up with somebody. He's hooking up with somebody. They're kind of the two leaders, Xander and Buffy. And Buffy just talking about, oh, how crazy. I've never done this before. I had a really good time, but I don't know if I can do this again. Let's just keep it quiet, let's just keep it between us. Don't put it out there for the rest of the Slayers. As she's saying that, Xander walks in the door. He's like, ah! He's seen the two naked hot girls right here. He's like, what's going on? Then his what potentially gonna be his new girlfriend shows up, sees the same thing, and they're like, what just happened here? Then another guy walks in, so everybody's already aware of their little secret, and they're like so embarrassed right here, right? Look. So it's very comedic, it's pretty funny. They're like, oh my god. So we get back to the story. Willow's right here. She just landed. Look, boom. There's Willow. She like, I just been attacked by someone. And there they are. They're wolves. They can turn into smoke and turn into like vampires. So they're clearly real powerful. They broke in to steal the Sith. Here we have one of the other Slayers. Her name is Aiko. She's in Japan, I believe. And she's looking for this new group, right? You see her here. She's looking for these new vampire slash werewolves or whatever. She finds this thing. And when she picks it up, it was an ambush to get her. So this guy just slashes her up, grabs her, and he's like, oh, you don't know who you're messing with. And look, bam, he just bites her. And I don't know how the show was, but this was real brutal, like. And we get to the next issue, and look how it starts. They just hung her up. They wanted all the rest of the Slayers to know, like, keep away, or else this happens to the rest of you. This is our area, right? And man, like, this was a lot more brutal than I thought Buffy books would be. I thought they only kind of did that to the monsters because they're not really like humans. But now they're like, killing Slayers. See Buffy over here. She's carrying her, walking her in through this, back to the rest of the Slayers. They just lost one of their own. So this means war, right? They're like, we gotta go get retaliation on these guys. So here they capture one of these wolves. They capture him with this magic spell on this cubicle. And look what they do. They pour gasoline in there, into his cubicle. And then you see Buffy just lighting up the lighter. Just sets them on fire, and you see all of them walking away like in the movies. I was like, damn, like this shit is getting gangster. Man, this got really good right here. Now later on in that issue, look at this guy. That same guy that killed the other Slayer. Bam. Just drove that Sith through the chest of Rennie, who was the freshly new girlfriend of Xander's. So I was like, damn, like this thing is way more brutal than I thought it'd be. Now the new issue starts, conclusion, and we see the panel there. And he's clearly, heartbroken. He grabs her right here. And yeah, she's dead. She's gone. She's not coming back. And here, as far as from what I've been reading so far, is when characters die, they stay dead. They don't come back. It's not like Marvel and DC where they're back 2 issues later. So wow, like a loss is really a loss here. It is very action heavy, but the character development here, I feel it's a miss in some spots, which was more what the show was known for, is the characters, right? And here, like things get rushed and it concentrates more on the action. Here again, we have Buffy and Satsu talking, and they're both chatting about what's gonna happen. Was that just like a one night stand, or are we gonna take this anywhere? As they're talking, again, the art pretty good right here. And when the issue ends, you see, they're getting it on again. So it looks like they're gonna become a couple now. So now Buffy is a lesbian too, not just Willow, right? But Willow's over here because Willow's always had a crush on Buffy, and she's like, if I would have known Buffy would have gone for it, I would have said something, and maybe we could have been dating a long time ago. She just, I guess, never like brought it up because she's like, Buffy always has boyfriends. She's straight, and now she's just pondering on like, oh, now she's dating somebody else, and I was around all this time and I never spoke up, right? And we get to the next issue. So we're getting some development with Buffy and this new character, and then boom, things go completely another direction. Buffy's fight. We just start with Buffy fighting this person, and look what happens. This is great art again. I do like the art, but they're falling, and there's flying cars. See what I'm saying? This is not Buffy at all. This is like a whole nother world now. That we're flying cars, and it reminds me a lot of one of those Star Wars movies where it started, where they're fighting on flying cars. So that was crazy. We got a new artist for this issue as well. Art looks pretty different. because this issue is turns out she somehow teleported to the future. And this is her little sister Dawn. This guy draws her a lot more, looking like more older and hotter than the previous artist. The previous artist drew her looking like a little bit younger, and this one draws her more like closer to Buffy's age. And he gives her clearly like more sex appeal there, right? So yeah, that was crazy how. So here's Willow. It turned out she turned into Dark Willow, and she summons Buffy to come into the future because I guess she wants Buffy to kill her, but it's never explained why. Like, that was pretty weird. This is an awesome cover. I'm really digging it. Came out real nice. That's supposed to be Dawn right there. Here's Willow with her girlfriend. They're chatting it up. Then Dawn, now that she's a centaur, they're running away from these villains, and she tells Sander, because he's not gonna be able to keep up with her now that she's a centaur. So she says, "Get on top of me, ride me." After she says that, you see her sweating all over her butt and everything. Then she's sweating right here. Just the way they drew these pictures, it was to then make like some type of joke, right? And she's like, "Whoa!" Like she's done now. Like she's all sweating and whatever. And he was like, "Oh, that was a lot of fun." So yeah, that was clearly some type of a joke right there. And now we get some other creatures. So the artist clearly went crazy with the creatures here. There's all kinds of crazy looking creatures, almost like a X-Men book or something, right? Or Spider-Man. This guy reminds me a lot of the guy from Hellboy, Ape Sapien, and he's even swimming underwater. You see in these, he's swimming in this, I don't know what you would call this. It's not like, it's, I guess like an aquarium. But yeah, this guy was pretty cool too. He's a pretty cool character. Here again with the flying cars in the future. So yeah, this thing just went off the rails. It went everywhere. It's a whole lot of fun, very entertaining, lot of action, lot of like sex going on here and sexual jokes and stuff like that. As far as stories though, the story's kind of wild. Like you would read it, just just have fun with it, go with it. It's a comic. This is like a lot of 90s comics type stories were, and this is what's happening here. There's a lot of where there's a lot of flash, but not a lot of substance. But it's very entertaining, cool art, fun dialogue, fun moments, cool action. Here again, now, like I said, you get a lot of this right here. All right, so I think we talked enough about this. Let's go to the extras. Okay, here we have the artist, George Genti. He's the main artist. Then we got Carl Molina and Joe Chen. Covers issues 11 through 120. These are the covers. Covers to issue 1. So we get like a cover gallery at the end. Covers to issue 2. Cover to issue 3. But you also get those painted colors. So I'm not sure if the singles had like options, like variant covers, where you could choose what cover you want. Or if one was like the covers to the trades and one is the covers to the single issues. I'm not sure how that works. Really like this one. This looks like some type of Back to the Future cover with the neon lights and so forth. Here's the Future Slayer and the future, and then this Buffy in the from the past when she went to the future on that one story arc. And then we get a story arc where they're drawn this way because they were supposed to be some type of cartoon animated series that I guess never happened. And this is how they looked in that series, like with this type of art style. So they did a story arc right here with this type of art, which is pretty cool to kind of see different interpretation as far as how the characters look with a different artist. Sketches. Okay, now here is important because the guy explains what's going on in this panel right here. Artist Genti's talking about how it was important for him to put Satsu on top and Buffy on bottom because Buffy's usually the leader of the group, the best fighter, the know-it-all, right? The one in power. And he wanted to put Satsu on top to let you know Satsu's in control. Because Satsu's a lesbian. Buffy was not a lesbian up to this point. So she's in command, and basically Buffy's just going with it, right? So let the art show that to you without needing to put any words there, right? Here's Buffy as a samurai. That was pretty cool. And another lot of other little extras explaining to you the thought process between why this panel was this way or this angle was this way. Cool stuff. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, more overviews, or if you want to see more about Buffy, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because I will be doing more of these, and that will notify you on your feed when the next video drops. Other than that, I'd just like to thank you guys for taking some time out of your day to check out the video, and I'll check you guys out next time.